Welcome everyone to another episode of VGN Weekly. As always, we will recap all the VGN broadcast events right here on this show. We will also have in-depth interviews of all your favorite drivers, sponsors, league owners, and more. So subscribe and like the broadcast, and also don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can get all the content on the Virtual Grip Network. And also, if you're a league owner and you have a broadcasting need, please visit us at virtualgrip.net. This week's guest will be none other than the Hoosinator himself. It will be Matt Hoose. He'll be joining us here just a minute. We're going to do things in a little different order this week, but Matt will be in here shortly. But first, what we have to do is recap all the action from Slinger Speedway up in Wisconsin. The Bootleg Racing League was, in fact, in action up there in Slinger, and first race on Saturday was the SK Modifieds. Joe Segala would lead the field to green there, and he would set the pace until an early caution would bunch the field back up, and on the restart, Donnie Moore would power his way around on the outside to grab hold of the lead. This race was pretty wild. Turn 4 was giving guys fits all night long here, and you would see lots of cautions. The caution would finally fly about mid-race, a little past mid-race, and then we would see a restart that would see a great battle between Steven Spies and Donnie Moore ensue. And we would see the battle play out with eventually Steven Spies grabbing the lead away from Donnie there. And he would hold the lead for the next 33 laps and go on to win the SK race there to start the night off. The top 5 in this race, so were Donnie Moore coming home second. Brennan Myers, who had a great run, was able to round out the podium. Ruben Altice and Mike Holloway were also able to round out your top 5. And our old friend from a couple broadcasts ago, John Wilson, he secures the pole for next week by virtue of his 15th place finish. Next up, they had the late model stocks in action there at Slinger. Of course, that's the late models, Slinger Nationals. You got to think about those things when you talk about Slinger. And in this race, Mike Holloway would lead the field to a green flag. And I tell you, this was a race that had 2 different stories in it. The first half of the race was pretty clean. We didn't see a lot of cautions. Second half, cautions came out. The late models tend to wear tires a little quickly, and I think that turn 4 and worn tires seemed to give some guys some fits here in that second half of the race. But a late race caution with about 20 to go would set up just a sensational battle between Mike Holloway, the SK winner, Steven Spies, and Todd Liston, a former champion. And man, I tell you, these guys, it was a knife fight there for probably about 5-10 laps there. Eventually, you would see Mike Holloway prevail in that fight, go on and take the win. Brennan Myers would actually complete a last lap pass on Todd Liston to secure the final podium position. With Bruce Pearson and Todd Liston, Liston finishing 4th and Bruce Pearson rounding out your top 5. And the guy on the pole, a lot of you guys know him as the boss. It's going to be Lowell Jewell. He secures the pole for the next week at Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway. So what a great weekend of racing there at Slinger. It's going to be tough to beat. We've had a lot of good races here early on in the season at the Bootleg Racing League. So, we look forward to going to Kern next week, but we'll preview that a little bit later on. But next up will be our interview with Matt Hoose. But before we get there, we're going to have we'll talk to him about a wider range of topics, including that mid-race proposal that he made, and we'll catch up on how that's all fared and whatnot. But first, we're going to go to commercial real quick, let our sponsors have a word with you, and we'll be right back.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.
Welcome back to the Virtual Grip Weekly. I am John Hine, and I am here now joined by Matt Hoose. And Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, John. Good to be here.
Well, it's kind of good to do this officially. I think, a lot of people won't know this, but we did a dress rehearsal for this show that did not air, and you played the role of guest. That wasn't too long ago. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Good to be back.
Yeah, well, we promised to get you on for real, and that's what we've done here, and I can't wait. And I tell you, we've made some strides since that first that dress rehearsal. So with that said, let's kind of get into it here. And Matt, you've been involved with the BRL for quite a while. I like to kind of refer to you, Lowell, Donnie, and Mike Holloway as like the founding fathers. I don't want to make you sound old, but you've been around for a while. And before I get into your path to the BRL, what got you into sim racing? How did you find out about iRacing, or how did you first get involved in sim racing?
Well, you know what? It's kind of a lot of like other people's stuff. I started back on a really old, small little computer at my uncle's house. He had the Indy 500 game. And so I started playing that, and then he had a wheel, which I thought was really awesome. He had a wheel to play on the computer, but then and then we just kind of went from there. It kind of one day I was sitting around the house, probably, let's see, I started on here on an iRacing in 2009, so it was just earlier that year. I happened to be on a gamer magazine, and I seen this thing called iRacing in the gamer magazine and tried it out, and then been here ever since.
Well, it's a long time between the Indy 500 and the start of bootleg. Tell me how did you find the bootleg racing league, and how did you come about being, like I said, one of the basic core members that started this whole thing?
Well, the bootleg really I didn't get into that until 2012, I guess it was, because I started I had my own league back then, when the league stuff first came out to iRacing. And then I was doing a hosted race, like a recruiting race or something for my league, and ran into Lowell in there, and we started talking, and he's telling me, hey, he's bringing his league over here to iRacing, and we got talking, and so the guys I had in my league ended up following me, and we joined up with Lowell, and me and Lowell ran BRL for quite a few years there before I took a break.
You talk about going way back, leagues just starting and everything else, and that still counts as being a founding father, because it's the iRacing BRL version. Yes, Lowell has been running this for a lot longer. You have to go back to the first interview to first episode to kind of learn more about that. But when you guys started the league racing and all that, that was new to iRacing at that time, pretty new anyway, and kind of going back in that Wayback Machine. What was your first impressions of doing the league thing as opposed to running the open stuff?
Oh, I love the league thing. In fact, if you go back, it wasn't long ago, I was looking at my stats and stuff from being on here. And when I first started here, I had like 130 some starts or whatever every season or whatever. And all of a sudden I started with the league stuff and I had 12. So, I mean, it just shows you how much the league was so much better than running official.
I'm guilty of that. 252 starts in an open server down to 21. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's but way back when, though, I mean, there was it wasn't you couldn't customize the leagues like what you can do now. Um, so I think there were some challenges in that, but it's remarkable that even through all the changes that you guys have all stuck together.
Yeah,
What
there's so
I was
many
gonna,
more options.
yeah. Well, I was
In
going to
your
ask you. I was going to ask you what do you think contributes to that longevity? Why is it you think you guys have been around for so long?
well, I think it all.
It's kind of like
You
the
know
old Mary
me.
club. It's like the old Mary question. How do you guys stay married so long?
Yeah, just me and Lowell really hit it off. We still talk on the phone to this day. We both drive a truck and stuff, so you know, we talk all the time, and we're we just kind of stuck with it, and we had the right guys too that joined the league. We had Donnie, Mike Holloway, all that, and they came in there, and we all just we had this really good core group. And if I remember correctly, back then we didn't have fixed setups either because it wasn't a
Oh, really?
thing. I don't think you could force
Wow.
that back then, so we had everybody was kind of trustworthy. We sent it out and said this is what you're going to run, and guys kind of ran that. And so
That's wild.
and that you go through the options when you set up races now compared to then. There was one little page of stuff that you could adjust, and now it's 4 or 5 pages long to set up a race.
Yeah, especially when they went over to the beta UI, all the things that you can do now, it's mind-boggling. Everything from the weather to the track states, all that kind of stuff. Um, and you're talking about not even be able to have fixed setups back then. Oh man, that's like the wild wild west you're describing there, and that's even that that's even more impressive now that you guys have been able to be around as long as what you guys have been, a core part of the league because not being able to have those fixed setups and that kind of stuff and putting that kind of trust, that's the kind of stuff that can start some infighting and all kinds of stuff like that about they're gaming it, they're cheating. um
Yeah. Well, see, I had, there is one gripe that I had with iRacing about that was when they first came out with fixed setups, it was awesome, but you couldn't adjust anything. Well, then it was a little while after that, they made it to where you could adjust brake bias, you could adjust a couple other little things. I'm like, well, that's really not fixed setup racing at that point because you can change the way the setup drives by adjusting the brakes. But back when it first started, everybody had everything identical. You couldn't change anything, and I really liked that.
yeah, I think there's like one or two things now that you can run when if you click fix setup, or if it's a fixed setup open or whatever, you can't adjust anything on it. I think like the Jetta and stuff like that, I think are still like that. um we're sitting here talking about all the changes that iRacing, you've been with iRacing now for what, over 10, 12 years now. um what has been your It might be two different answers here. What is your favorite update that's come along that you thought is the coolest thing, and what do you think has been the most impactful? I mean, everything from the rain to the day night transitions to dirt, tire models. What, in your opinion, are what would those two things be?
Well, I guess I would say probably for me, the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome was the tire. With them getting the tires better, while the tires have gotten better and they start wearing like they're supposed to and all that. I was from back then. The tires weren't nowhere near where they are now. There wasn't really a tire um, where it would degradation or nothing. So when I used to build my own setups, I used to be really fast, but I would be running the outside line with the car sideways, and that's how I would race. And I would be really fast. I'd be passing people on the outside at tracks that you couldn't, but that's just how I drove the car because tires didn't matter. And so that was a big adjustment for me when they started coming out with this tire stuff, and I actually had to learn how to drive it correctly. But I think with the advancements, I gotta say, it is probably the tire and the track models, and then you bring on to the dirt stuff, and you
Teams.
know, teams is great. I mean, they've done so much stuff with iRacing. It really has changed, all for the better.
Yeah, back when you're talking about the tires not having any degradation to them, did it still? Because like the SK modifieds, you have some tire wear, but not a lot. And the thing you have to worry about in an SK is building tire pressure. Was that the case way back when too? Or did you still have to worry about that tire pressure?
Nope, I never found it too. I would be running 30 lap races sideways every corner, and I would just still be running the same groove, the same place, same times. So yeah, it used to be. It was a totally different animal, but it was always the SK through way back then all the way till now.
When you say that, half of me thinks, "Wow, wouldn't that be awesome racing if everybody could just stand on it and go and not worry?" What kind of racing would that produce? But also having to, finesse the car, and there's a skill set, to managing your tires and then deciding, when to push, when not to push. How hard do you want to fight this guy? Do you want to let this guy go? Um, but boy, when you describe that, that would be fun just to get in there and just hammer down. Maybe iRacing should do that as one of the options sometime, where you can click, and I don't know if maybe you can that and take away tire wear. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, I'm the type of guy that also, uh, when it took me a while till I'm still struggling with the tire wear on the late model car.
Everybody is struggling with
And
the
I
tire
was
wear.
absolutely horrible with that car when they put that new tire model on there. I'm like, this is stupid. I ain't gonna do this anymore. But I stuck with it, and I'm figuring it out. But it's just there's a trick to that car.
I'll never forget that first VGN broadcasted race with those cars. I think it was Five Flags. Soup and I were on the call, and I literally think half the field had to park before we hit the 100 laps because they were blowing tires out.
Road. Listen to the drivers who have ended their night early. Joe Snyder, Chris Davis, John Wilson, Todd Liston, Mike Allen, Donnie Moore. That's not now. Moore was an early exit, but the rest of those I think are because the car became undrivable. I think maybe the winner of the race might be Five Flags.
They've gotten better. We've all gotten better with it. So yeah, when you say you struggled, I'm pretty sure everybody struggled because that tire model was unlike anything I think any iRacer has seen. So, yeah, what a big difference that tire. That's a game changer. That tire definitely a game changer, wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I am I'm a guy that likes to. It's hard for me when BRL does their 100 lap races. I like to race hard all 50 laps. Or if you have 50 lap race, I want to race all 50 hard. I hate sitting back, saving tires, making plans because I'm not a strategy guy. I just try to get up on the wheel and drive as hard as I can. And so the 100 lap saving tire races and pit strategy, when we did that in BRL for a little bit there on Fridays, that was all out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it for guys like you that have started at the beginning though, and now you see to where we're at now, and like I touched on, you got the rain, the dirt, the tire models, new cars, um, day night transitions. I think I might have said that, but and then teams, all that kind of stuff now. We talk about your time in the BRL and everything else, and one of the things that had to probably led you to, from the Indy 500 game to BRL. What out there got you interested in racing? What started that passion? Where did that come from?
Well, I've been around racing my whole life. My dad used to race late models, and my uncle and my cousin. It was all a family thing. So when I was a kid, I was going to the track every week. That was our Saturday night, and we'd race at up here in Michigan. It'd be Auto City Speedway, Owasso Speedway, and Whittemore Speedway.
Oh
So
man, those are asphalt tracks. You guys should have gotten
yeah,
over to I-96, Butler, Hartford.
yeah. Auto City used to be dirt for many years, and that's where my dad started racing, was on the dirt, and then they transferred, and then right at the end of one season, they paved the place and went to asphalt. So um, then a lot of guys still had their dirt cars, and they're turning their dirt cars over to asphalt cars. So there was a lot of dirt style cars on asphalt that first year.
Yeah, and then not nothing wrong with asphalt racing. So before I get hate mail, but it's no secret where I what I prefer. But um, growing up in that environment and everything else, did you have a particular a class or even touring group that would come in town or whatever that you really enjoyed or kind of hung on to?
Oh yeah, you had ASA was a big group that came up over here, and I know Seneca had someone in there in that
Yep,
group,
Brian.
and
Yep.
Bob, and but I remember that back then, and sprint cars were always fun to see. They would even they'd run on the asphalt. Them things were flying, and so I remember the speed of them cars coming out there, and so there was a lot of good stuff that came there. There was another one there, but I can't remember. It was ASA and something else, but I cannot remember what that series was. But it was along that same line, and but yeah, it was
Well,
just a good time growing up. Unfortunately, I could never afford to do it, so this was the next step was iRacing. So
yes, it's a little cheaper to repair the cars, and as someone who's been in a real car, let me tell you, it hurts a heck of a lot less when you hit something. But you talked about the late models of sprint cars and stuff coming to those tracks. Did you have a particular car though, that type of car that rather be a street stock? Because I'll tell you, I've seen some street stock races that'll match any late model, race, sprint car race. So did you have a favorite car type growing up?
well, my favorite car type was it was the late models, just because that's what my family ran and that's what I knew.
Yeah.
But of course, you would love to sit up there, and they used to call them the bombers, which are street stock
Yes.
class. So they
Yeah.
would always say, "Here come the bombers! Take your heart medicine and hold on to your loved ones. Here comes the bombers." I remember the announcer always saying that when they'd pull out on the track, and so that was always fun.
About a lap or so watching them just bounce off each other in every corner. You realize what he was talking about. Um, well, who was your, if being a racing fan, who was your racing hero growing up? Who did you follow?
Well, in professional stuff, I guess it'd probably
Outside
be
outside your dad, obviously, yes.
yeah, professional stuff. I would say Dale Earnhardt was my always my driver. Of course, with other millions of people too. But
Nothing wrong with that.
but yeah, he was, and then I kind of got out of watching NASCAR stuff here in the last few years. Anyway, I haven't really been into it too much.
Well, being an Earnhardt fan, there's no shame in that. He entertained a lot of folks, and the people that probably didn't like him too much was probably the people that he beat a lot, and he won a lot through his
Yeah,
time. So, and you see that through time too. The guy that always wins a lot gets booed, and then something happens. They slow down a little bit and become a favorite and stuff like that. It's funny to watch the ebbs and flows of one's career an arc like that. I think he had more friends but more fans um, at the end, which I hate saying it that way, but at the end, than I think he did even in his heyday when he was winning every other race and winning championships. Every other year. Um, towards the end there, he wasn't winning, 7, 8, 9 races a year. He might have was picking off one or two, but I do think he had more fans at the end, which is kind of unique, I think. Um, but you started back when he was winning a lot, or did you come in there towards the end?
No, I remember every week we'd get home from church, and this was back when we had VHS. So my dad had the race set to start recording because we wouldn't make it just home in time for church in time.
VHS, nice.
So we would be sitting there. We'd watch the race every Sunday after church when I was younger, and
I've got to ask something. You brought the VHS up. Do you remember how much your VHS recorder weighed, that first one?
it was. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, they're pretty big and bulky and heavy, and
Yes.
yeah, times have definitely changed.
Well, speaking of progression through everything, and I want to come back to your story a little bit. You made some headlines. I don't know if it was this season, early part of this season, or last. It was last season, I think. Mid race on track, you proposed to Holly, right?
Yeah, I did.
Matt, we're on lap 52. You kind of been taking your time. There's really no time to procrastinate here, buddy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to head on, try to work here and work hard at it and try to get up front here. Just like, there's no time to procrastinate anymore.
Right, I set you up.
I just want to, one of your watchers out there, Holly, if she's watching tonight, I'm not 100% sure if she made it tonight, but we've been engaged for about 6 years, so I want to go ahead and take this opportunity to ask if she would be willing to get married on July 27th.
Oh, how romantic. Well, I don't want to overstep my bounds, but on behalf of Holly, I'm going to say yes.
Yep.
All right. Well, we all are wondering, and I know Pursuit has probably covered this, and I think he might have interviewed you the next week. How was the proposal received, and where does everything stand today?
Okay, so this was pretty funny, actually. She watches every race that I do, and out there in the living room, but she happened to get up and go do something out in the kitchen during that caution.
Oh no!
That I asked that question. So then, after the race was over, I had to go out there, rewind the replay to play it for her again. And she's like, "Oh, I can't believe I left during that time." But yeah, so it's set for. We originally had it set for like September 21st, but that was her idea since it was 21, my number and stuff. But then the church is busy that weekend, so we moved it to October. So, but but we are getting married and moving ahead with those plans.
Well, awesome. Are we gonna? Is VGN gonna cover it? I guess that'd be the next. That'd be right now. Ryan's head's exploding, and yeah, VGN. We could cover that, right? We could set up some GoPros in there and then put that on VGN, right?
Yeah, sure, we could work that out.
Well, the first proposal, why not the first wedding? But well, congratulations, Matt, and congratulations to you, Holly, if you're able to watch this once we release this here and all that kind of stuff. So what a cool story that is, and yeah, it makes it unique because we've definitely not had that happen on air before, and then probably might be a while before we have it happen again. So nice to hear that you had a happy ending to it. Well, so far a happy ending to it, but it looks like there will be once you guys walk that aisle. Is it going to be an indoor wedding, outdoor wedding? What are you guys planning for that?
Yeah, no, it's just going to be a small little thing, just at my church that my uncle's a pastor there, and then we're going to have just some family there, and
nice.
And I'm probably back in time to race because I have that night off work.
I know you're from up in Michigan. Where are you from?
I'm in a little town called Montrose. It's about 30 minutes north west of Flint.
Okay, I know right
kind of over by the Thumb area, Mary. In that area.
October would be a great boy. You guys will have the leaves and everything changing colors. Boy, you guys will have a really, really nice time. The weather is just absolutely gorgeous up there in October.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a little get together afterwards, somewhere, either at my house or my sister's house or something, where we'll get together, have a bonfire, stuff like that. So
Well, I hope we can see some pictures and all that kind of stuff. Once you're done, we'll have to bring you back on here to conclude the story. We've talked about the proposal. Now we've found the reaction, so we got to have the conclusion, and we will definitely have to bring you back on, and then we'll have to look at some pictures. If you don't mind sharing pictures anyway with I don't know, the rest of the world when they tune into these things. But congratulations again, Matt.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, who wouldn't want to see a picture of this? So
Well, one of the other things I kind of wanted to touch base with you on, now to kind of shift gears again here and kind of delve back into iRacing. There's a lot of different things you can do on iRacing. I know you have your own league right now that it's called the People's League. And first of all, why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
yeah, that originally started. We just we wanted to do something different, and so I kind of put a group of guys together. We run dirt on. We started off just to running dirt on Sundays, just with like I think there was 10 guys or whatever, that including myself, that isn't really good on dirt, but yet we kind of just all race together, and we're kind of learning it and getting better, working at it with each other, and everybody's picked up a lot, and that has served its purpose. We've got a lot of good guys in there, and that's now expanded to Wednesday nights, and then also, so we run Sunday and Wednesday. Well, then here in the last couple of weeks, I added a team aspect to the TPL league. So now we run. There's 6 of us signed up right now to run in a team. Me and Seneca and Holloway, Brennan, Marino, and Jason Menda. We all run together on like the 24-hour races, and every Saturday at 3 o'clock, we're going to get together and run the official team stuff on iRacing for something else to do. So
Oh,
there's a
fun.
lot going on right now with that little league.
Well, Wednesday nights, it's kind of unique. Your league kind of swaps though between asphalt and dirt, don't you? You got like a dirt fault series.
Yeah, we call it the Dirt Fault Series. This season we're running the street stocks. So like one week we'll run the asphalt street stocks, and the next week we run the dirt street stocks, and all the points add up together for the season. Then
That's cool.
once this season's over, we're going to do the same thing with like the late models. Have an asphalt late model series, and then an asphalt dirt or a dirt late model series, and do that. And the one thing about the league that's different, BRL is awesome and everything, but the one thing with the People's League is I don't have tons of rules. It's just but it's just a good group of guys that getting together to have fun. It's a totally different atmosphere. I turn damage off on the cars because we just, we just not taking it serious. We're
Yeah.
racing hard, but if you get in a wreck, you just go back to the back and line up, and we go again. I mean, it's just it.
Nice.
We
That's
try to
fun.
keep it as a fun atmosphere, and that's why guys like it, and it's been pretty popular since I started it.
Well, you also touched base on the team thing. Did you guys run Spa this weekend? There's a 24-hour race, iRacing held at over at Spa. Did you guys run it?
We were going to, and we planned on it, and we practiced for it and everything, but we had some technical difficulties at the last minute, so we were unable to make it. So we are planning on running the next one. We did do the what was it, the 6 hours at the Glen, I think, the one prior, and I think we started 42nd or something in our split, and we ended up ninth. So, and that was our first time running the team together. So we were pretty happy with that turnout. So
Yeah, I've said it on this broadcast. And anybody that's talked to me probably about any of this stuff, team racing is so unique. But doing those 12 and 24-hour races where you have the collective good and everybody, has to do their part and all that kind of stuff. It's so much fun. It is so rewarding when you get to the end of those things. Um, Spa. I was all ready to talk to you about Spa. I thought you guys entered it, but do you have is there, the iRacing calendar, it will probably look a lot like what it did this year. Is there one of those 24-hour races that you've got circled that it's like, okay, this is the one we've got to do?
No, we plan on just running everything. Anything that's a team aspect, and if we can get enough guys together with our schedules, that's the one problem with team stuff is, guys are busy. They have lives. Like I work, I drive 6 days a week, so I
Yes.
got to try to work it around my schedule. Everybody's got things they got going on, so you're trying to make a schedule for everybody. So it's kind of hard at times, but yeah, I think our next race is planned for, I think, September 13th or something. It's the Indy
Yeah, 6 hours
race.
at Indy.
Yeah, that's our next one we're planning on doing.
Well, I asked you earlier about your favorite car to go watch, growing up. But how about on iRacing? What's your favorite discipline? Is it the team thing, dirt, running short track asphalt? What's your favorite thing to do in iRacing?
Without a question, is the SK modified. It has been my favorite for since I started driving it on here, and it always has been. It's just
Well, then I probably should mention you're like the former champion of the BRL.
yeah,
So
I think I talked about that with Soup a couple seasons ago, or last season I think it was. That was my 5th SK championship, and so I'm tied with Donnie with SK championships. Which, speaking of Donnie, he's my, I don't want to say my arch nemesis,
your
but
rival, frenemy. He's
he
your
is my,
frenemy.
yeah, he is my frenemy. We have been rivals since 2012. We just
Very
But
nice.
we race good. We race hard together, but at the same time, we have fun doing it. And I know if we're both racing hard and both one of us get into the other one, it's not on purpose. And
Yep.
um, there's been some hard races where we're both just laughing and smiling and stuff, grinning ear to ear while we're racing each other. So that's when you know that you got some good guys you're running with. And speaking of
Absolutely.
championships, the one that sticks out the most to me is, and it's I had the first championship for BRL when they came here to
Oh wow.
iRacing. I won the first
Nice.
one. It was the Legends Championship. It was our first season in BRL.
Nice. There you go. There's a good nugget from this interview. So, well, last thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about is you talked about your day job. You drive a truck. Well, where do you drive to, and what are you hauling?
Well, here recently, about a month ago, I changed. I've been driving for 25 years, and but now I'm hauling a tanker and but it's loaded with milk. So we pick up from the dairies or from the farms and take them to the dairies, and so it's a 7 day a week, 24 hour a day job because the cows never quit milking. So
No,
uh, so yeah, I work 6 days a week right now, and but the company runs 7, but I get 1 day off a week. But the rest of the time, I'm going back and forth to the dairy, and
where's your route? What's your
uh,
route from
I
where to
go
where?
from right down the road from my house. My job's only
Nice.
4 miles from my house, and then I head out about an hour and a half over. It's over to Greenville,
Oh,
Michigan,
I know where everything's
um,
at.
and go over there to the dairy and just run that back and forth.
Very cool. Well, Matt, you know what? It was nice to interview you again, like part two, but this one being more official and all that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it was fun. We'll have to maybe do this again down the road. I don't have a lot
I told,
interesting life, but you know,
well, but you do, and we definitely want to find out the conclusion, of the Holly and Matt love story. So we'll bring you back and we'll discuss that a little bit. But before we conclude the whole show, though, Matt, we have to preview of where BRL is going next, and that's Kevin Harvick's Kern County Speedway. And you've had some success there. There's only been 3 races for both the SKs and the modifieds, and you're a former winner in the SK. What can you tell me about Kern there, just experience-wise?
Yeah, Kern's a fun track. It is definitely a 2-lane track. You can run it, and the one thing that iRacing there, the track is really dirty, and with iRacing you see it.
It's a dirt track right over turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's out in the desert, I guess. I don't know,
Yep.
But yeah, when you're racing there, there's dirt, dust flying up and everything when you first start out. Once you get later in the race, it disappears. But when you're first on the track, it's realistic. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's a good 2-groove track. I know from my experience there, turn 4, I don't know why, but turn 4, you have a tendency to spin out there and stuff. That car can get away from you really quick there, off the bottom there. So it's kind of lends a challenge to drivers too.
Well, we saw that at Slinger this week, and the one thing, I haven't raced on that track, but I've taken some laps in there, and the one thing that I can remember is the center speed. Going through the center of those corners, you're carrying so much speed through the center, and when you have a high rate of speed in the center of a corner, it seems to usually make the corner exits really, really tricky, and that's kind of what I remember there, being fast, and you hit the nail on the head, being tricky on those corner exits.
Yeah, I know 2 is a little easier, but turn 4 there, if you're on the bottom, it really tries to jump out on you. So it's gonna be a good race to watch. That's definitely one to watch. I know I watch them, even though I can't be there a lot of times with work and stuff. I do watch the BRL every week, and I'm sitting there critiquing everybody.
Here's what you do: you call or talk to your boss on Monday. Say, hey, look, I won the last race here. I have to defend my title, so I need Saturday off. See, that's what you should do. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll understand. I'm sure they'll get right after it.
Well, they'll respect your priorities. So, well, man, I tell you, thank you for doing a little bit of the recap and about Kern here and stuff like that. So, with that, we'll kind of wrap up the show here. And once again, I do want to thank you for coming in and joining us. And we look forward to seeing, like I said, seeing and hearing from you again, and letting us know how that wedding goes.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's been a blast.
And that's Matt Hoose. But we also have some more shows coming up this week. VGN races. We got Saturday night's lineups. Remember, you can tune in and see, especially if you hit that notification bell, you can see our races that will be coming up. We'll have the SKs and the late models from Kern County Raceway. Next podcast will be, tentatively speaking, we hope to have Mike Holloway on it. Hopefully that'll come to fruition. Another one of our legacy members in the league. So look forward to that. But once again, thank you guys all for watching, and remember to give us a like and subscribe, and again, click that notification bell. Remember also, if you have a broadcasting need, please go to virtualgrip.net, and you can fill out a little form there, and we can get in contact with you and see if we can make something happen. So thank you again, and we'll see you right here next week on Virtual Grip Weekly.